So we're still talking about quantitative analysis, which means we have formulas and numbers. Now we've talked about the cost of a countermeasure. How do you determine the value of the countermeasure? This means, how do we know this is the right thing for us? How do we know what the value is of this countermeasure? Because a lot of companies, they buy things because it's the new thing on the in the market. A consultant tells them they need to buy it, but actually figuring out what the true value of this countermeasure is, there is a calculation for that. That calculation is the ALE before you put the countermeasure in place. What that means is the potential loss before you put anything in place. How much could we lose if vulnerability is exploited and we don't have something in place? Then you subtract the ALE after you put the countermeasure in place, because the whole goal of putting in a countermeasure is that it's going to reduce your potential loss. You have a potential loss, you're going to put a countermeasure in place, and the goal is to reduce that to your acceptable level. So, and then you subtract the annual cost of the countermeasure, which we talked about what the cost of the countermeasure is. This is a difficult thing for people to understand. I've taught it a lot. It's not overly intuitive, so I want to go through it one more time. You have an ALE, that's your potential loss before you put anything in place. This is how much we could potentially lose if a vulnerability takes place. And then you subtract the ALE after you put the countermeasure in place, which it should be lower. You come up with that value, and then you subtract how much this countermeasure costs us. That's how you come up with the value. Now, if ALE for a specific asset is $78,000, and then we put a countermeasure in place, it reduces that ALE to $20,000. And the annual cost of the countermeasure is $60,000. Is this the right countermeasure for us? Again, the ALE is $78,000. After we put the countermeasure in place, the new ALE is $20,000. The actual cost of the countermeasure is $60,000. Is this the right decision? Is this the right countermeasure for us?